Shocking truths about Zeus, the dark side of Greek myths that keep you awake at midnight. In the heart of ancient Greece, where gods roamed the earth and mortals whispered their names, there are dark stories lurking in the shadows. Zeus, the almighty king of the gods, was not just a figure of thunder and lightning. Behind his majestic facade lay sinister secrets that could chill anyone to the bone. Tales of betrayal, deceit, and monstrous jealousy swirl around him like a storm ready to unleash fury. Did he truly love the mortals he ruled, or were they mere pawns in his chaotic game? Each night, echoes of madness fill the air as whispers of his darker actions seep into the collective nightmares of those who dare to delve deeper. Even from the lofty heights of Mount Olympus, Zeus was known to cast a long and terrible shadow. Picture this, his thunderbolts shot down from the heavens not just to punish but to quench a violent thirst for control. Whole cities lay in ruins, screaming in fear of this capricious god. But that wasn't all. His insatiable lust paved the way for outlandish romances with both goddesses and mortals, leading to countless tragedies. The children born of these unions didn't just carry the blood of gods, they were often cursed to bear the weight of their father's wild whims, and humanity's cruel fate. And what of the stories of betrayal? The cold betrayal of his first wife, Metis, whose cunning could rival that of even the wisest. Swallowed whole to prevent a prophecy that threatened his reign. Talk about a desperate clutch for power. As if that wasn't terrifying enough, Zeus was rumored to hide secrets no one could fathom, trading trust for dominance, causing rifts that echoed through the ages. How far would a god go to maintain his throne? What horrors lay hidden beneath the surface of divine duty? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Zeus's rule unravels in layers of complexity, each twist revealing more darkness than light. But as sinister as his reign was, perhaps the most hair-raising tales remain untold. Across time, echoes of his whispers seem to tease, adding an unsettling chill in the night air. What will happen next? The myths wind on, leaving a clammy hand on your throat as you contemplate whether you really want to uncover more of his dark legacy. Or there might be a consequence that's best left buried. What truths lie just out of reach, shrouded in divine chaos? The night deepened over the lands where mortals carried on unaware, but the air crackled with tension. This was not just any night. Rumors stirred like restless spirits, igniting fear among the people. A new tale had emerged, one of vengeance and a haunting prophecy that promised to shatter the fragile peace of the realm. As shadows danced under the flickering torches, the chilling story unfolded that in the depths of a forgotten cave, the Oracle of Delphi had stumbled upon a truth so horrific it could shake the very foundations of Olympus. Whispers of insurrection shivered through the air as she deciphered the cryptic message, a warning of Olympus's precarious position. Did Zeus really think himself untouchable? Did he truly believe his grip on power was unbreakable? The oracle's heart pounded in her chest. This was not just gossip, it was a warning cloaked in desperation. As she pored over ancient scrolls beneath the dim flicker of candles, the prophecy leapt to life. A child born of betrayal shall rise, armed with the lightning of the father yet unshackled from his chains. The weight of the words sank into her bones, chilling her to the core. This child had the potential to raise the throne, but what if they would turn against their own blood? The prophecy was clear, and the burden it carried was nearly unbearable. Meanwhile, far above, on the pinnacle of Mount Olympus, Zeus lounged in self-satisfied arrogance, ignorant of the storm brewing below. He basked in the glow of the admiration of his fellow gods, relishing their fears and desires. No shadow of doubt flickered in his mind. He was invincible. Yet, lurking beneath his confident exterior was a gnawing anxiety, a flicker of unease that whispered warnings of the imminent chaos his children might unleash. As the winds howled, gathering strength like the tension within the heavens, the gods held their breath. They harbored their own secrets, dark and twisted. Each of them feared what Zeus's lust for power could provoke. Their fragile alliances shivered on the brink of betrayal, heading towards a calamity that would render Olympus little more than a crushed and bloody memory. What began as conspiracies between peers descended toward treachery, and when gods betray each other, only destruction follows. Suddenly, a thunderous voice broke the silence, echoing through the halls of Olympus. "Who dares to question my rule?" Zeus roared, ripping apart the fabric of camaraderie. The air trembled, and all eyes turned toward him, mouths agape in shock. Murmurs of dissent rippled through the crowd, trembling hearts ready to unravel. The atmosphere thickened with the suffocating scent of fear, like a storm ready to unleash its fury. But unknown to Zeus, hidden beneath the clouds of wrath, a child awaited, breathing beneath the surface. The winds began to shift, carrying the whispers of destiny closer, ever closer. What divine intervention might awaken this child? What desires would tread on ancient grounds? The gods of Olympus braced themselves. A reckoning was coming. Would Zeus's reign survive the storm he himself had brewed? What if the child born from betrayal emerged stronger than he anticipated, challenging the very essence of godhood itself? The air hummed with suspense as the tale unraveled towards a climax that held the fate of the heavens in its grasp. Answers lingered just beyond reach, waiting, like a coagulated drop of rain on a precipice ready to fall. What will these gods do when betrayal and prophecy collide? The stage is set, the players are moving, and the stakes are higher than ever before. Will Zeus confront his own creation, or will he fall prey to the very darkness he has sown? The atmosphere grew heavier as Zeus's challenge echoed through the marble halls. His gaze pierced the throng of gods and goddesses, each face a mask of confusion and fear. Would any dare to step forward? Would any bring forth this child of betrayal whispered about in hushed tones? A flicker of movement drew attention to Athena, who stood poised and elegant, her brows drawn tight with concern. She stepped forward, her heart pounding. Bravery often felt like walking on a razor's edge. "Father," she began, her voice steady but laced with tremors of rebellion, "there are whispers of dissent growing louder. The realms they feel the shift." Zeus chuckled, a thunderous rumble, masking his unease with bravado. "Whispers? Let them whisper. I am Zeus. I forge the storms." The heavens, but Athena interrupted, her voice a sword through his bluster. "And who do you think they whisper about, father? You sit upon your throne, bleeding power, while shadows breed in the corners of Olympus." The others murmured, agreeing with her daring words, their eyes filled with concern and desperation. The tables were turning, alliances shifting. Athena's courage became a spark. Outside Olympus, the winds began to howl like wolves hungry for conflict, circling around the mountain peak. Deep within the cave of Delphi, the oracle felt at the stirring of chaos brought forth by the gods' unrest. Each word she had written, each prophecy she had divined, swirled in her mind like a tempest. The child, he was close. Closer than anyone realized. "Daughter," Zeus's voice had lost its thunder, replaced by a jagged edge. "You know not what you play with. I am your father, and I will not be undermined by the shadows you create." His voice dripped with authority, but doubt glimmered beneath. Shadows were, in fact, rising. Athena held her ground, clenching her fists. "You do not control the tides of fate, father. You cannot cage strength born from the ashes of betrayal. Beware, the very chains you impose could bind you." As her words hung in the air, a chill raced through Olympus, awakening the ancient terrors buried deep within the hearts of the gods. Their deep-rooted fears took form. What if the child was already among them? What if betrayal had already seared its mark in the blood of Olympus? The oracle's eyes widened when she divined a vision, a flash of lightning illuminating a figure, shrouded in darkness. A figure that bore the spark of Zeus but carried the weight of his sins. The very chains that bound the child could also become the weapons of a reckoning he could not foresee. That as storm clouds gathered above them, Athena clenched her jaw. If we allow fear to bind us, we lose ourselves entirely. But Zeus narrowed his eyes. So tell me, which among you would speak of rebellion? Which of you would rise against me? Panic rippled through them, eyes darting as gods weighed the risks, silence enveloped the hall. If an answer had to be given, who would step up? From the shadows emerged Hermes, with a gentle smile masking a dangerous edge. Father, let us not pretend. This isn't a tale of rebellion, it's survival. Perhaps it's the moment to refocus. After all, we've all perhaps played our roles in this prophecy. The room crackled with energy. His words could ignite more than just anger. Was it a twist of fate or a calculated risk? His voice dripped with charm, yet desperation lingered, the fate of Olympus hung by a thread. Zeus shifted, his expression unreadable. You will all think long and hard before the dawn breaks, for the chain reaction has begun. And in the dim glow of candlelight, away from their sight, something within the forgotten cave began to stir. The child, shaping his destiny, finding his power biding time to unleash the chaos into the world. What would happen when dusk turned to dawn? As the veil of night fell heavy over Olympus, hearts raced with uncertainty, and the storm loomed larger than ever before. What consequences awaited in the light of day? As the strum of fate's strings echoed through their very souls, divine shadows danced ominously in anticipation. As the night deepened, a pregnant silence filled the marble halls of Olympus. The air crackled with tension, each breath heavy with the weight of unspoken fears. Athena felt it in her bones. This was no ordinary moment, it was the calm before a storm, where the winds of destiny would soon howl. That I in the shadows, Hera watched the unfolding scene, her heart twisted in knots. She knew the power of betrayal intimately. Zeus, once a loving husband, now seemed a tempest ready to strike at any moment. The gossiping tongues of the divine had already spun tales of his infidelities and wrath. But would even she dare to speak out against him? The thought alone sent a shiver down her spine. To think we're at the mercy of whispers, she muttered, glancing at the trembling faces of her fellow gods. Whispers that can unravel everything we've built. Just beyond the towering gates of Olympus, the shrill cries of the wandering winds merged with glimpses of shadows darting through the trees. They whispered secrets only the night understood. Was the child truly among them? Her pulse quickened as she recalled the oracle's cryptic prophecies. The child you cast aside will become a weapon, echoed the words in her mind. Zeus turned toward Hera, his eyes glinting with anger. Do you doubt my authority, wife? Or has your mind grown soft with the moon's light? His tone was chilling, leaving no room for doubt. A shudder cascaded through the gods, and they instinctively recoiled, exchanging worried glances. Until now, they had delayed the inevitable. Each one could feel the crack forming in their once invulnerable unity, but who would be the first to fracture that silence? Perhaps you should listen to your daughter, a voice broke through the tension. It was Poseidon, emerging from the depths of the throng. She speaks of truths we must confront. For a heartbeat, Zeus's expression darkened further, swallowing the room in an oppressive fog. The gods collectively held their breath, many knowing that defiance could lead to destruction. But Poseidon pressed on, his voice firm. We can no longer hide from what brews beneath us. You were once feared, brother, but your reign is crumbling. Let us come together instead of falling apart. Amidst the commotion, Athena's heart soared. Allies were what they needed now. Yes. If we unite, we can face whatever darkness is rising. The child will be our salvation, not our end. Yet doubts lingered, casting shadows over their resolve. What did they really know of this child? A figure moved within the confines of Olympus, unseen, gathering whispers, pieces of their fear like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Meanwhile, in the cave of Delphi, the oracle clutched her head as images clashed violently in her mind. She saw a child not just born of Zeus's blood but ignited by a rage that defied the gods themselves. He is coming, she gasped, her breath hitching in the untold dread that enveloped her. Back in Olympus, Zeus's gaze swept the crowd, hunting for weakness, eager to silence dissent. A low growl rumbled in his throat. Think closely, siblings. Speak boldly, but remember the chains you wear. Those who rise against a titan often find themselves crushed. And in that very moment, the sky roared, the storm outside erupting in a cascade of furious light. It was as if the heavens were reflecting the turmoil that had taken root among them, the night trembling beneath their feet. As they took cover, a flash illuminated a figure standing on the balcony, cloaked in doubt yet holding a glimmer of truth, an echo of everything they feared. Who dares to defy destiny? The figure shouted, voice cutting through the tumult. Athena's heart raced. Could this be the child? Show yourself. She called out, but the reply was swallowed by the wind. What awaited them as the dawn neared? The stage was set for chaos, and none would leave unscathed. Tension hung in the air like an unfinished symphony, each note beckoning the inevitable crescendo. Before the first light could break, the truth would spill forth profound and unyielding. Would they still embrace the light when they finally discovered the identity of the child born from betrayal? The winds howled like restless spirits, spiraling through the columns of Olympus as the figure on the balcony remained obscured. Tension thickened the air, wrapping around the gods like a suffocating shroud. Athena felt her heart pounding, each thud resonating with the weight of uncertainty. Who was out there? Hera, do you sense it? Athena leaned closer to her mother, urgency lacing her voice. This presence, it feels different. Hera's brow furrowed, her eyes darting from the balcony back to Zeus, whose fury loomed like a storm ready to break. What if this child, if it is indeed a child, brings with it the very chaos we dread? Poseidon stepped forward, his sea blue robes billowing as if caught in a tempest of their own. Chaos? Or possibility? We need to know more. If the oracle sees a weapon, perhaps we can bend its force to our will. But Zeus's voice pierced through the gathering storm. No more talk of this child. I will not stand for insubordination among my own. His voice echoed in the marble sanctuary, causing echoes of fear to ripple through the assembly. Suddenly, the figure on the balcony stepped forward, illuminated by a stroke of lightning that fissured the sky. A gasp rippled through the onlookers. The air fell silent, as if the universe itself paused to witness the revelation. A young man stood there, his stance fierce yet uncertain. The golden hair framing his face glistened with hints of divine lineage. The child born from betrayal was now here. Who are you? Athena demanded, battling the sudden mixture of hope and dread that surged within her. The youth's voice rang out, strong and clear, with an undercurrent of something darker. I am the child you cast aside, and I am not what you expect. Chill ran down Athena's spine, each syllable resonating with truth and defiance. You're the weapon the oracle spoke of. I am more than a weapon, he shot back, fire igniting within his stormy gaze. I am a reckoning. Zeus took a step forward, his visage darkening like clouds before a violent storm. You dare to usurp authority, boy. His anger was palpable, reverberating through the very stones of Olympus. What power do you think you possess? The young man merely shrugged. Enough to challenge you. Your kingdom stands built on foundations of betrayal, but I am here to gain my own strength. No longer will I hide in the shadows, a mere whisper among your lies. Gasps erupted around Olympus, the collective shock visceral. This was far worse than they had imagined. The air turned electric as questions swirled. The gods were not just afraid, they felt threatened. I could divert the chaos, he continued, or I could unleash it. His eyes flared with a dangerous allure as he regarded each god in turn. You think your reign is absolute, but the whispers whisper of new tides. I could drown your empire or raise it anew. A murmur spread like wildfire among them. The very essence of their culture, their power, was hanging in the balance. Hera's throat tightened with dread. We cannot let this happen. We must contain him. Poseidon's jaw clenched as he absorbed the implications. Contain him? Or join him? Perhaps we can turn this storm into our advantage. I will not bow to the child of my betrayal. Zeus roared, face twisted in rage, but the young man raised a hand, and the winds swelled, answering his command. You are not my father. Your name does not bind my fate. Chaos erupted as tempests unleashed themselves upon Olympus, lightning crackling in fury. Shadows danced violently among the giants, each god caught between loyalty and survival. As they braced against the storm, Athena locked eyes with the child. She felt a tug, a sense of bond that frightened her deeply. Was he truly the key to their salvation, or their ultimate downfall? Together, we can rewrite destiny. The child shouted over the cacophony. Yet doubt rippled through the gods, their unity fraying like the edges of a torn tapestry. Would they take the plunge into the unknown together, or would they splinter into oblivion? The thunder roared one last time as the sky raged, foreshadowing a fateful encounter. The dawn would soon break, but what light would be cast upon their choices? An unsettling mystery brewed in the air. What would the balance of power become when dawn reclaimed its place in the heavens? The storm crackled, vibrant and alive, as the gods braced themselves against the forces swirling around them. Athena felt the familiar weight of her wisdom, but doubt entwined itself with clarity like bitter vines strangling a tree. Zeus, are you blind to what is brewing? She shouted, her voice barely cutting through the chaos. This child holds the key to our future. His future, Zeus barked back. Not ours. His fury echoed off the ancient walls, shaking the very foundations of Olympus. Rage flickered in his eyes, a tempest brewing amidst the already chaotic environment. The young man, now standing at the edge with arms open wide, embraced the winds as if they were his allies. You fear me because I speak truth. You painted the world in black and white, but I am here to shatter that illusion. Athena caught a glimpse of the shimmering light in his gaze, a reflection of power that could either unite them or tear them apart irreparably. What had she missed? What connection stirred between them that shook her to her core? Why should we trust you? Poseidon interjected, confusion and reverence battling within him. You descend from betrayal itself. Why not wield your flames against us? But the young man's expression morphed, something vulnerable flickered in those stormy depths. Betrayal taught me strength. I am not here to inherit your chaos, I aim to create my own. Imagine the possibilities. Hera stepped in, her voice steady and commanding. This is not a game, boy. If you insist on challenging us, you will find out what true wrath looks like. Go ahead, he smirked, tension coiling around his words like the storm illuminating the skies. But know this, I will not back down. Your fear fuels me. Lightning flashed, illuminating the fear smoldering in the eyes of the other gods. Uncertainty hung thick like fog. Some whispered, glancing toward one another as alliances began to shift, the delicate balance unspooling. But others remained defiantly loyal to Zeus, their king, until now. Suddenly, a startling silence descended, slowly washing over Olympus like the calm before an inevitable storm. The winds paused, as if holding their breath, sensing the monumental shift about to unfold. An overwhelming pressure hung in the air, prickling the skin of every deity present. Enough! Zeus roared, cutting through the silence with fury. I will not tolerate this disrespect in my court. His voice thrummed with ancient authority, and yet even he sensed the weight of the child's defiance, the air thick with the tension of impending rebellion. I call for a challenge. The boy's words erupted forth, strong and unwavering. A challenge to determine the course of Olympus. If I win, I will claim my place. If I lose, banish me to the depths of your madness. But you will not ignore me. Athena felt her heart race. This was unprecedented. The gods had never settled disputes this way in generations. A challenge? What kind of madness are you conjuring? She stepped forward, eyes wide, her resolve wavering. An ancient test, he declared. A trial of strength and wit. The victor shapes our future. Fool's games. Hera spat, fury and indignation igniting her spirit. Or our salvation, Athena whispered, barely audible as a flicker of hope sparked in her chest. Could this child be the revolutionary force they so desperately needed? As Zeus contemplated, shadows shifting amongst them, the tumultuous clouds of Olympus swirled with unrest, and an unrelenting dread gripped the hearts of those who witnessed this gathering. "What will your challenge be?" Zeus finally replied, his voice barely concealing his interest and trepidation. The youth smiled, a glimmer of something truly fierce lighting his face. "A battle of years, a showdown of gods against man. We'll see whose might truly reigns supreme." Gasps echoed, and uncertainty spread like wildfire. Would this child be the spark of rebellion or the harbinger of total ruin? In that moment on Olympus, with the storm reawakening around them, the destiny of gods and mortals now hung precariously in the air, teetering on the edge of chaos. As the echoes of the boy's challenge faded, Athena's heart raced with the question looming within her: when would the storm yield, and what truth would it reveal once it had? The tension hung thick, palpable enough to touch. Zeus stared down at the young man, disbelief mixing with raw fury. "You dare to challenge the might of Olympus? You must be a fool," he spat, but his voice shook with uncertainty. The gods around him exchanged glances, and in that fleeting moment, a rift began to fracture the once undying faith in their king. "Fool or not," the boy countered, resolute, "I am a spark. A fire ignited in darkness. Would you snuff out your own future?" His eyes, once filled with an innocent fire, now blazed with beauty and conviction that pricked at their buried fears. Athena stepped closer, drawn by a surge of both dread and admiration. "Zeus, this is not just arrogance. A challenge like this risks everything. Should we not take heed?" Her voice trembled, a mix of apprehension about her brother's temper and the boy's audacity. "Enough!" Zeus thundered, the floor beneath them shaking as his power erupted. "You will have your challenge. A trial of strength it shall be. But let it be known," his voice dropped, weaving through the air with chilling clarity, "if you fail, your fate shall be sealed in darkness." The gods murmured anxiously. They knew the stakes were high. The boy took a step back, his smirk faltering briefly, but quickly, he regained himself. The wind seemed to swirl in response, wrapping around him like a cloak of defiance. "Bring forth the arena," he called, his voice slicing through the clouds. In an instant, the celestial landscape morphed, revealing an arena shimmering under the flash of lightning, a perfect circle carved from ancient stone with enchanted runes glowing ominously along its edges. The gods looked on, awe and fear mingling in their expressions as the ground quaked and tensions erupted like a delayed thunderstorm. Poseidon's brow furrowed, he hadn't anticipated this turn. What if he succeeds? He murmured to Athena, realization dawning that they might face a new order. "He must be stopped," Hera interjected fiercely, her eyes glimmering with both fury and fear. "This will set a precedent we cannot allow. A mere mortal challenging us is sacrilege." But even as she spoke, uncertainty flickered in the hearts of the gods. It was a precarious tightrope they walked, one that could tip into ruin or rebirth. The boy raised his arms, channeling energy and light toward the sky. "Witness, gods of Olympus, as the winds answer my beckoning." A surge of wind whipped through the arena, caught igniting bolts of power that danced at the tips of his fingers. For a moment, the storm hesitated, pausing with bated breath. Could he truly control such power? Athena turned her eyes toward the gathering clouds, her heart pounding wildly against her ribcage. What if their world was shrouded in new shadows? What if they paved the way for a revolution? Then, just as quickly, the skies darkened, clashing with furious shades twisting, reflecting their myriad of fears. Thunder rolled ominously, voices of the gods raised with dread and wonder, calling upon the recent age of chaos they thought buried. Are we still gods? Or have we allowed our power to leave us? Poseidon echoed grimly, thoughts spiraling as he watched the boy stand resolute, a flicker of light against their ancient fury. As day turned to night and the winds howled, Athena felt the fragile line between destiny and doom all but erased. What awaited them in that arena? The boy's challenge lay heavy, pressing forward into the unknown, and for the first time, even the mighty gods quelled their own doubt, trapped in the fierce uncertainty of what could arise next. And as the first clash of power ignited between the boy and the gods, a pulse of electricity surged through Olympus, echoing a startling truth: it was no longer about the gods alone. What would emerge from the battle? And would the consequences reach beyond even the storm? The wind screamed, a cacophony of dissonance as the boy stood defiantly, the weight of the gods bearing down upon him. He concentrated, drawing the energy swirling in the atmosphere as lightning lit the sky with blinding flashes. Each bolt ignited within him a fierce determination, a belief that he had the strength to change the course of fate. Let it begin. He shouted, voice echoing off the towering walls of Olympus, and that was when the first strike of divine power met his rising wave of defiance. The ground shook as that electric energy collided with the boy's resolve, transforming the arena into a tempest of chaos. A crackling energy expanded in every direction, momentarily illuminating the faces of the gods. A sight to behold, but their expressions revealed nothing but dread and disbelief. Zeus remained unmoved, but somewhere deep inside, a seed of fear took root. What if this boy was not just a mere spark, but the igniter of flames that could engulf them? Poseidon gripped his trident tightly, waves of unease rolling off him. Foul winds carry foolish hopes. He cannot prevail. He growled, but a hint of doubt tinged his words. Athena's heart raced. There was no denying the boy's power. If we dismiss him now, we risk the wrath of those who might follow. A rebellion against Olympus is gathering, and it's ignited here. With Athena's words waiting on his mind, Zeus clenched his fists, the air around him thickening with tension. He was not just king, he was a creator, a destroyer. But even a god could feel the threads of his authority unraveling like so many strands of lightning. Across the arena, the boy drew in a deep breath, calling upon the storms, weaving through their chaos. If I stumble, it shall be my cross to bear. But in that moment, I will be your reckoning. The air buzzed. The ground quaked. And then, in a flash, he hurled his storm-born energy toward Zeus, bright and overwhelming, a bolt of radiant hope aimed directly at the heart of Olympus. The sound was deafening. A crack. A flash. Then silence. For a heartbeat, time halted, tension held its breath, and then the shockwave ruptured outward, rattling even the indomitable gods. The brilliant light surged, engulfing the arena, sending rocks flying as the gods stumbled back. A chill crept in as darkness swelled. Their eyes widened, and murmurs escalated to screams. What is this? Hera gasped, hands covering her mouth, her voice cracking like the panic threading through their ranks. As the illumination faded, they dared to peer through the veil of confusion. The boy stood tall, panting, but unbroken. I am a catalyst. He yelled, voice fierce, belting against the shadows. This cycle ends here. Fight me if you dare. Realization gripped them like a vice. This wasn't just a young man standing against the gods, this was revolution wrapped in hope, strength, and fear. Zeus's heart thundered in his chest. They had dared him, they had pushed him to this brink. And yet, a deeper fear coiled his veins. If they fell against this boy, what would that mean for his reign? What would become of them? The sovereigns turned to mere memories. With a snarl that split the air, Zeus summoned his divinity, a radiant flash of power cascading down over him. Then let it be war. These stones shall bathe in this truth, either we reign or we fall. As the words left his lips, the arena crackled with energy, reverberating with the promise of an inevitable clash. All at once, Olympus seemed to hold its breath, suspended in time between defiance and doom, and within the eye of that storm, a single thought resonated through the expanding rift: if this boy could command such power, what might he unlock next? What secrets lingered in the dark outskirts of Olympus that could shatter even their strongest bonds? Would the gods rise against him, or would the arena become a tomb for their legacy? The arena trembled, as if the very earth itself could feel the impending storm. Tension crackled like the air before a lightning strike, and the gods stared wide-eyed at the boy who dared to challenge their authority. Zeus, his power swirling about him like a tempest, narrowed his gaze. It was time to show this upstart what real divinity meant. With a voice that rumbled like thunder, he called upon his might. Gather, spirits of storm. Let my fury reign. The air thickened, swirling with electric energy as dark clouds of rage formed ominously above him. As if in a hypnotic trance, the gods watched, fear and fascination dancing in their eyes. The boy clenched his fists, heart racing, sensing the shift. I am not afraid. You may wield lightning, but I will not cower. He took a step forward, not waiting for permission, driven by the hope of something greater. Was it glory? Was it freedom? Or simply the right to exist outside the shadow of Olympus? In that moment, everything exploded. The skies ripped apart as Zeus unleashed his fury. A magnificent bolt, mesmerizing and terrifying, descended toward the boy. Screams erupted, families of gods clutching their breaths, but he stood resolute. Instead of shying away, he lifted his arms, summoning the very storms he had conjured moments before. Together, we are strong. He shouted, blending his energy with the dark power of the skies. We are the storms, the hope that has been buried beneath clouded judgment. Bright lights surged and collided amid the towering shrine to the gods, letting out cracking sounds that reverberated into the hollow chamber. Light and shadows danced erratically as the forces collided, igniting a violent maelstrom of lightning, and the ground shook violently beneath the weight of their confrontation. The gods staggered back, caught in dual sensations of awe and dread. Hera's gaze flitted between the boy and Zeus, and a dangerous thought crept into her mind. What if he is right? What if the storms are more than just chaos? Poseidon, ever the skeptic, roared defiantly, he is a child. An unworthy challenger. But the tremor in his voice betrayed him. His trident shook, betraying his unease. Meanwhile, Athena's eyes were bright with burning wonder. Even children have the power to change the world. Might he be our path to renewal? Or will he destroy us? The boy, feeling the swell of strength coursing through him, perceived the changing tides. Join me. He yelled, each word laced with conviction. Together, we can break the chains of this endless cycle. I'm not just fighting for myself but for all of you. The crowd of onlookers stirred, whispers igniting like wildfires. Could they really trust this boy? His power was undeniable, but his intentions, were they pure or laced with vengeance? Enough! Zeus bellowed, slamming his fists together, causing a shockwave that rippled through the very essence of Olympus. The sky darkened even further, clouds writhing as his energy played like an ominous symphony. You are a fool to think you understand what it means to challenge a god. I will not let you sow chaos. Lightning struck before him, illuminating his wrath. But behind him, unseen suits of shadow stirred. From the edges of the arena, whispers of ancient power began to creep in, shadows from corners that the gods wished to keep hidden. Their existence shuddered as if the very foundations of their reign were at risk. With a fierce heartbeat echoing in his ears, the boy summoned every ounce of strength he could muster, pushing back against the gathering storm. But what he didn't know was that they were not the only ones watching. Someone awakened in the depths, an ancient truth, waiting for the right moment to surface. What darkness lay buried beneath the skies of Olympus? Would the boy's bravery crack the safety of their domain, or awaken an even greater force that lay hidden in the shadows? The gods held their breath, and so did the world. And somewhere in that swirling chaos, the boy whispered to himself, I will uncover the truth the hard way. The relentless storm raged as Zeus confronted the boy, their powers clashing like titans in a furious ballet. Each thunderous clash shifted the ground beneath them, a violent reminder of the stakes at hand. The air crackled with tension and fear, amplifying the weight of destiny that hung from their shoulders. But amid the tumult, a murmur grew, a whisper among the gods that echoed Athena's burgeoning belief. The boy, eyes alight with fire and defiance, pressed his advantage, feeling the rush of energy channeling through him. This isn't just for me. This is for the future. A future where no one is bound by tyranny. Join me or fall with him. His voice rang clear as the storm swirled around them, though doubt lingered in the hearts of those who once revered their king above all. Zeus, furious and unyielding, summoned the full force of the tempest. You think your strength equals mine? I will show you true might. His voice thundered across Olympus, a warning echoing in the hearts of those still loyal to him. The winds howled, clashing in a symphony of chaos as the boy forged tears in the clouds above, attempting to wrest control from his father's iron grip. Fool! Hera hissed, finally stepping forth, her heart torn. You cannot simply appease a monster born of betrayal. Do not let fear guide your choices. But even as her words were spoken, her heart clashed with the knowledge that this boy held the key. His strength, his visions of a new world, echoed in her soul. A rush of energy surged through the arena, and Athena found herself captivated. You are the embodiment of the change we need. She called out, stepping toward the boy. This isn't just about rebellion, it's a chance to rewrite our fates. Her fierce gaze upon him, she felt the tides shifting, but Zeus roared back, let her soil her honor, child. You seek a world devoid of real power, and you shall be crushed beneath my might. His fury materialized above them, a blinding flash terrifying enough to silence whispers of rebellion. The sky turned dark and menacing, a nightmare brewing before them. With resolve stealing within him, the boy let loose a cacophony of energy, overflowing from his heart as he refused to yield. I am the tempest that defies fate. I will not bow to the chains you forged in darkness. The words ignited in the hearts of the gathered crowd like wild flames, drawing them to him, the fear of the old collapsing against the hope for the new. Lightning erupted, cascading down uncontrollably, as the gods recoiled from its vicious touch. They felt the ground swell, trembling, fracturing beneath the crescendo of pain born from betrayal, ancient grudges, and the thirst for transcendence. And then, without warning, the boy outstretched his arms, channeling the force of their shared emotions. Join me! He shouted, and a wave of raw energy radiated from him. The skies paused, as though holding its breath, torn between its master and a new force awakened. Power surged through Olympus with a stunning brilliance, and for a heartbeat, something beyond mere chaos ignited. In the shadows, something shifted. Nested deep within the fabric of Olympus, ancient powers stirred, waking from their slumber, drawn forth by the dance of light and darkness that unfolded. The winds swirled with restraint, keeping secrets of their own. Together, we rise. The boy continued, voice unwavering. Together we expose the truth. Together we unveil the power buried beneath the ashes of betrayal. Hope surged through the gods, igniting the dormant boldness lying beneath their fear. In that moment of uncertainty, the gods felt the pull. One by one, heads began to nod. There was a hunger for more than just survival, for more than loyalty to a past that suffered from decay. A reckoning was on the horizon, a chance to forge a new legacy. The pulse of rebellion coursed through the crowd, divine whispers shifting like shadows. Zeus's eyes narrowed, realizing his grip was loosening. You will not challenge me. I refuse to bow to this effigy of defiance. The last vestige of authority trembled in his voice, the spine of Olympus quaking beneath the pressure of change, but Athena, bolstered with a burgeoning strength, stepped forward beside the boy. Father, we are your children. We are not your chains. We hold the potential for something much brighter. She too felt the warmth of collective hope wrapping around her, a bond that turned treacherous brokering into a powerful alliance. The air shimmered as storms continued clashing in an infinite loop of chaos. And then, amidst this fierce struggle, a voice resounded, an intricate weave of melody seeping from unseen depths. It formed a chorus, ancient yet vibrant, awakening the hidden trails of the gods. The oracle, once bound and lost in the dark, stepped forth, lighting the shadows behind her. Listen and bear witness. It is not strength but unity that will guide you through. Her voice cut through the tempest, filled with wisdom like forged steel. A new age dawns with the child born of betrayal, the storm whispering secrets of possibility. As echoes of truth reverberated around them, the storm ceased for an instant, plunging Olympus into a calm so inviting it swelled with promise. The clarity unleashed caused Zeus to falter, uncertainty flickering in the depths of his eyes. In that moment, his throne of chaos began to dissolve, shadows dissipating under the illuminating touch of revelation. The boy, fists still clenched, stood proud, drawing energy from the gathered gods, harnessing ambition woven in their names. Will you step forward into the dawn and reclaim your legacy? The children of Olympus shall not inherit chains, but wings. His words ignited hope like a roaring fire, and so, in unity that shattered the confines of loyalty, the gods, with uncertainty tinged in bravery, moved toward him. They stepped forth, hearts aligning in resonance, refusing to shatter beneath the weight of Zeus's wrath. Once banished whispers echoed proud, and Zeus, once a king unyielding, felt the storm within him stir, ready to embrace the burgeoning light or drown in the chaos he had always wielded. The battlefield transformed, moving toward a climactic strike, a legacy waiting to be forged anew. With that, Olympus stood on the cusp of a decision, a moment spanning lifetimes. The stakes were high, the past weighing down like chains, but above them, the light of a new dawn glimmered, illuminating truth born from chaos, a reckoning of the heart ready to rise. As the skies swirled into an ornate symphony, gods and mortals lost in the spiral of destiny felt the storm quieting, setting the stage for a new age. Whenever shadows danced, a whispered pledge filled with shared dreams echoed through the ancients, a symphony of rebirth, born from betrayal, ready to reclaim Olympus. This was it. Justice would find its anchor. And the gods, now transformed, readied themselves for what came next, a thunderous applause of chaos that birthed a hopeful revolution. Now, as the saga unfolds, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss this path of epic stories that are coming. Smash the like button now. This is the moment to show your support. Join the movement and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this breathtaking conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends. This revolution awaits you.